Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. I'm Millicent Walker. On the news this hour, President Buhari is back in the country after attending the Organization of Islamic Cooperation Summit in Saudi Arabia. What are the gains of his visit? We find out. And the jostling for the leadership of the 9th Assembly intensifies as the day of inauguration closes in. Intrigues, intra and inter-party politics revved up. The main opposition party, PDP, raises alarm over what they say is the vacuum in the Presidential Tribunal panel after Justice Bulkachowa recused herself. Welcome everyone to the program. It's Monday and first working day in the month of June, and so it will be for President Muhammadu Buhari, and perhaps his first working day after inauguration. And the president is now back in the country after attending a summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, in Makkah, Saudi Arabia. The president had departed from Nigeria last week, Thursday, May the 30th, to attend the 14th session of the OIC conference hosted by King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. At the summit, convened under the theme Hand in Hand Toward the Future, President Buhari addressed the forum on the need for member countries to unite and work together to combat common challenges such as terrorism and violent extremism. He also passed a vote of confidence on the intervention program to the various institutions under the OIC for the impact they're making on Nigeria and other African countries. He also commended the Islamic Development Bank for its robust interventions in key sectors such as agriculture, trade, and investment. Returning to Nigeria, the president also has his eyes on international affairs as he sent a delegation to New York, ahead of election for the presidency of the United Nations General Assembly (UNGA), which is slated to hold on the 4th of June 2019. President Muhammadu Buhari is said to have sent a federal government delegation to support Nigeria's candidate, Mr. Tijani Muhammad Bande. Mr. Bande is Nigeria's permanent representative to the UN, and if he wins, he will then become the second Nigerian to be elected president of UNGA. The delegation consists of the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Mustafa Sulaiman. Other members of the delegation include the Director General, National Intelligence Agency, Mr. Ahmed Abubakar, the Executive Secretary, Petroleum Technology Development Fund, Mr. Bello Gusso, and the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Garba Shehu. The president, in a statement, says he is confident that Nigeria's presidency of the 74th session of the UN General Assembly will provide a unique opportunity for Nigeria to lead the global call to tackle the political, socio-economic, and environmental challenges facing the world. Well, let's not get a feel of the atmosphere at the presidential villa as the president will be, we've said this, back to his office. And our correspondent is live for us, State House correspondent Gloria Umezuke. Gloria.
Right here is sunny in the presidential villa, but the president, Muhammadu Buhari, is back from his first official assignment since his inauguration on May 29. He came back from Saudi Arabia, where he attended the 14th summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation in Saudi Arabia. So since his return, he has approved a federal government delegation to head to the United Nations to support Professor Tijani Muhammad Bande, who is Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations. He is vying for presidency of the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly. He is the second Nigerian to be elected president since 1990. So the president right now is confident that Nigeria's presidency will help Nigeria lead the global call to tackle political and socio-economic, even environmental challenges facing the world. And also this would probably be a boost to some of the internal issues Nigeria is facing. And also also, Nigerians are keeping their fingers crossed on the outcome of that election, which is scheduled to hold tomorrow, Tuesday, June 4, 2019, in United Nations headquarters in New York. For now, it is expected that the president will be compiling a list of his ministers who he wants to be confirmed by the National Assembly, of course, upon their inauguration on June 11.
All right, many thanks, Gloria Omezuke, State House correspondent there, for that update. But let's get ahead of what's really happening and, the chances of Nigeria's representative at the ONGA sitting. We have Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity. He joins us via Skype from New York. Thank you so much for joining us at this time. Before we go into the delegation, since you are in New York, let's find out the President's trip to the OIC summit. I mean, most Nigerians were not expecting the President to travel so soon after the inauguration, and this raised a lot of dust, especially after he didn't give a speech at Inauguration Day. And people have really criticized, Mr. President's agenda. What do you make of this criticisms?
Well, Nigeria is a very large country and the opinions are diverse. Certainly, 200 million people cannot all agree on one thing. The president didn't make a speech on May 29 because the government, under the law, had now promulgated May 29 as June 12 as the nation's Democracy Day. That's the big day for us. He's going to make a broadcast on that day. So whoever wants to listen to him, they would find whatever he will say on that day. Why did he travel the day after? Because of the significance of the meeting, the strategic nature of the meeting in Makkah of the OIC. We are members. Yes, let me hear you.
The OIC, the summit, what are the take-homes, especially for tackling the Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria?
We have the backing of, we have had the backing of OIC before now. They have resolved to do more to support all of the countries in Lake Chad Basin. They will also help us to attack the economic foundation upon which terrorism was built up, poverty. They are helping, they are interested and committed to recharging the Lake Chad, which has shrunk to 10% of its own original size. And there will be a lot more humanitarian support and assistance in that regard. They would upgrade the office in Niamey, Niger, which has been handling these matters of humanitarian assistance. And we are expecting a lot more dealing with the economy, empowerment of women, empowerment of youth, cooperation and support in science and technology. It's a whole basket of many issues that the president is bringing back.
And finally, you're also a member of the delegation to New York. What are Nigeria's chances, especially Mr. Mohamed Bande, to becoming president of the UN General Assembly?
You know that these are the glory days of the Nigerian international relations that have just come back. After about 30 years, the thing about the presidency of the UN, it is rotated to regional blocs. It has come round to the turn of Africa. And the amazing thing about what is about to happen is that no other African country, as at the time of the closure of nominations, had raised their own hand to say they were interested. Having heard that Nigeria was interested, Nigeria has been given the leadership, and we are hoping that it will be a coronation rather than an election, unless some things happen that I don't know.
All right, we wish you all the best. We'd like to thank you, Mr. Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, for joining us on the program. And members of the Taraba State House of Assembly, they have re-elected former Speaker of the House, Mr. Abel Daya, to chair them in the 9th Assembly. Dr. Danladi Gwompo from Yoro constituency was also elected as Deputy Speaker. The Speaker's re-election makes it the third time that he is emerging Speaker after he was first elected in 2015 and then twice after that. Mr. Daya and his deputy were elected unopposed. The Taraba State House of Assembly is made up of 24 members, of which 19 are from the People's Democratic Party, while 5 are of the All Progressives Congress. And as the Buhari government's first term in office ends and the second term begins, the administration has been speaking on what they have achieved in the past 4 years. One of the major projects embarked upon is the second Niger Bridge, and the former Minister of Power Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, in an exclusive interview with Channels Television's political correspondent, Seun Kibaloye, says the project will see rapid progress.
How much have you spent so far on that bridge, and what is the expected date of completion?
Progress is being made. Again, the first big injection of funds has come in from the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund. Before then, it was an attempt to do a partnership with some international group who essentially pulled out because for reasons, the fundamentals of the project changed. One of the reasons, I recall, was that they didn't believe that there was enough traffic to justify their investment in the bridge even when it was built. And they wanted government to guarantee that traffic shortfalls will be compensated to them in dollars. And I advised against that. And I advised the president, and he agreed that he should take over his bridge and fund it directly. And you see now almost all the pillars and the piles are out of the water, and essentially piling works and foundation work should be completed hopefully before the onset of rainy season.
And the race for the leadership of the 9th National Assembly has taken a rather intense dimension, as the day of inauguration of the two chambers is just a few days away. One of the senators-elect eyeing the Senate presidency and former governor of Abia State, Orji Uzor Kalu, has thrown his weight behind the All Progressives Congress choice for speakership, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila. Mr. Orji Uzor Kalu told journalists at a meeting in Abuja that any party member who votes for another candidate other than the two will be deemed a saboteur.
You have been endorsed by Mr. President. You have been endorsed by National Working Committee of our party. You have been endorsed by progressive governors. You have been endorsed by all levels of our political party. Just on Monday, I had a private section with Mr. President. I asked him again, what are we? He said, this is the only two people I wanted there. You people can take every other thing. And this is the truth. I'm quoting him correctly. I was with him. I said, how are we going to? He said, no. I only asked them to give me Lawal and Femi, because I see them defending the interests of the party. Everybody that called themselves APC should not disobey President Buhari. It's our fight. The disgrace is not your disgrace. It's an order of our president. It's an order of our party. And any APC man or woman going against this order is going against the order of our party. And it's not the way to do. I'm not threatening them, but what I'm saying, we are party people. What we have done in the Senate will happen in the House of Representatives. We have concluded the issue of the Senate. Now I have seen you. Before now, the next 4 days, we will conclude the issue of the House of Reps.
Also, another man who has thrown his weight behind the speakership of the person of Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila is the governor of Kaduna State, Nasser El-Rufai. He's thrown his weight of the choice of Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila as Speaker of the 9th House of Assembly.
And it was Femi's dedication and contribution as a legislator that caught the president's eye. And it was the president that said, this time around, I want Femi as the speaker.
The Yoruba ethnic nationality of Delta Central Senatorial District, they've expressed their total support for the ambition of Senator Oviamu Agege as the Deputy Senate President In the 9th National Assembly, the declaration was made in a communique read during a press briefing after a conference and solidarity support meeting which held in a full Delta State. The chairman of the All Progressives Congress, who presented the communique on the gathering, called on all Urhobos and senators-elect from other ethnic groups and geopolitical zones to support Mr. Omoagege's bid. So to come on lunchtime politics, the People's Democratic Party, they're worried over the appointment of a replacement for Justice Bokachua on the Presidential Tribunal panel. We'll bring you details when we return.